I always noticed how Jessica's smile would fade whenever her mom was nearby. It was like a cloud blocking the sun, and I could see the tension in her shoulders. I didn't get it at first, but then Mrs. Thompson called me a liar, and everything changed. I felt a hot rush of anger in my chest, and suddenly I wanted to hurt her like she hurt me. The sun was shining, but I felt a storm inside when Mrs. Thompson stormed into the room. Her icy stare locked onto me. "Did you take Jessica's phone?" she shot, her voice slicing through the laughter that had just filled the air. My heart raced. "No, I didn't," I shouted, but my words bounced off her like I was invisible. Mrs. Thompson's accusation hit me hard, like a punch in the stomach. It shattered the trust I thought I'd with both her and Jessica. I turned to Jessica, desperate for her to back me up, but she looked away, staring at the floor. In that moment, I felt completely alone, like I didn't belong in my best friend's house anymore. "Liar" and "no good" echoed in my head. How could she think that of me? I'd always been there for Jessica. Anger boiled inside me, mixed with hurt. I felt betrayed, not just by Mrs. Thompson, but by Jessica too. The feelings of betrayal hit me hard, like a wave crashing down. I couldn't believe Jessica's mom called me a liar. I felt so small and ashamed. But the worst part? Jessica, my best friend, just stood there. That night, I couldn't sleep, tossing and turning with trust issues. How could she turn away when I needed her? Anger, sadness, and confusion swirled inside me like a storm. The next day, I couldn't shake off my anger. I started digging into Jessica's life, looking for her secrets. I wanted her to feel the pain I felt. When I found out about her hidden relationship with Mark, it gave me a twisted sense of power. I couldn't wait to expose her. But as the days went by, I saw how everyone started treating her, whispers and stares that made my stomach churn. I realized I'd only made things worse. I thought I was standing up for myself, but I was losing my friend. Chloe noticed my struggle. "What are you doing?" she asked, concern in her eyes. I realized I'd crossed a line. The guilt gnawed at me. I wished I could take back what I did, but the damage was done. Trust, once broken, is hard to fix. I learned that betrayal leaves scars that last forever. Feeling trapped and betrayed, I made a quick choice to spill Jessica's secret. When Mrs. Thompson called me a liar, something inside me snapped. How could she not believe me? I felt wronged, and I wanted everyone to know the truth about Jessica. She'd her own dirty secrets, after all. I wrestled with my decision for hours. I knew it wasn't right to reveal secrets, but my anger pushed me. If Jessica could hide this from me, didn't I have the right to tell everyone? This felt like a chance for revenge. With shaking hands, I typed up a post on social media about her secret relationship with Mark. I hit send, and a rush of excitement shot through me. But when I walked into school the next day, reality hit hard. Jessica's face turned white as a ghost. "You traitor!" she screamed at me. My stomach dropped. Did I really want this? I'd to face what I'd done. Students whispered and pointed. Jessica became the center of everyone's gossip. I realized that my quick decision didn't just hurt her, it shattered our friendship too. I thought I was making a bold move, but instead, I was spreading pain. The truth was, exposing secrets only cut deeper than I could ever imagine. "Why would you do this?" Jessica shouted, tears in her eyes. "Because you lied to me," I shot back, but my voice wavered. How could Jessica hide such a big secret from me? We were best friends. But there it was. She was secretly dating Mark. The guy everyone knew had a bad reputation. My heart dropped. It felt like our whole friendship had shattered in an instant. I was furious and hurt. Why couldn't she just tell me? When I found out, I couldn't just stay quiet. I jumped on social media, thinking I was doing the right thing. I posted about Jessica and Mark, convinced I was protecting our friendship. But, wow, did that backfire. The comments poured in like a flood. Jessica's face turned pale, and I could see the humiliation wash over her. "I can't believe you did this," she shouted, her voice shaking. I wanted to scream back, "I'm not the liar Ms. Thompson thinks I am." But instead, I'd thrown her under the bus. In my rush for revenge, I hadn't thought about how much I was hurting her. The guilt hit me hard. The whispers started. Our friends looked at us differently. The judgment felt heavy, like a weight I couldn't shake off. I realized then that real friendship meant being there for each other, not tearing each other apart. I'd messed up big time. "I'm sorry, Jess," I finally said, my voice barely a whisper. I needed to find a way to fix this. But could I? Would she ever forgive me? What was it about Mark that made Jessica fall so hard? At first, I didn't get it. He was older and had a bad boy vibe that screamed trouble. But somehow, he became the main part of her secret life. A hidden romance, she thought. She could keep safe. I felt betrayed. How could she hide something this big from me? I was always her #1 friend. When I found out about Jessica and Mark, I was a mix of anger and worry. I wanted to shout at her, to make her see how dangerous this was. What if Mark hurt her? What if her mom found out? I felt like I had to protect her, but instead of being a good friend, I chose to get back at her. I shared her secret online, thinking it would teach her a lesson. But everything went wrong. I watched as Jessica's world fell apart. Friends turned their backs, and suddenly, she was alone. I felt a bitter taste of victory. What had I really done? I realized I hadn't just hurt her. I'd thrown her into a storm of pain. Why did I think it was okay to share Jessica's secret online? In that moment, I felt like I'd to fight back. Mrs. Thompson accused me of lying, and I wanted everyone to see the truth about Jessica. I thought that if I exposed her hidden life, people would see I wasn't the bad guy. But I didn't think about the damage I could cause. Sharing someone's secrets online can destroy their reputation, and I didn't stop to consider how serious that was. I hit send on that post, fueled by anger and a need for revenge. I wanted to save my own image while tearing hers apart. If Jessica could keep something from me, I figured she deserved to be out in the open. But then, as the comments started flooding in, a knot twisted in my stomach. Was this really how I should handle things? I'd crossed a line from friend to enemy, and I was making everything worse. Watching Jessica's online world fall apart made me feel strange. I felt a mix of power and guilt, knowing I could hurt her. Deeply, I realized that my need for attention was overshadowing our friendship. Instead of fixing things, I was just adding to the chaos. The moment I hit send on that post, everything went crazy. My heart raced as notifications flooded in, each one reminding me of the chaos I'd unleashed. Whispers filled the school hallways. Friends turned into spectators, eager to watch the drama unfold. I felt like I was trapped in a fishbowl, completely exposed. Then Jessica confronted me. Her face was red with anger. "How could you do this?" she shouted, her eyes filled with betrayal. It hurt more than I expected. I thought I was making a point, but all I felt was a twist of guilt in my stomach. Did I really want to hurt her? This much? As days passed, things got worse for Jessica. The same people who used to laugh with her now pointed and whispered when she walked by. The fun of my revenge faded fast, replaced by a heavy feeling in my chest. I thought I'd control, but I'd just made a huge mess. Each night, I lay awake, replaying the moment I chose to expose her secrets. I never meant for it to go this far. I felt stuck in a cycle of regret, unsure how to fix what I'd broken. My heart ached for our friendship, and I realized that sometimes the truth hurts way more than a lie. "Why did you do it?" Jessica texted me one night. I stared at my screen, unable to answer. I wanted to say I was sorry, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I just felt more trapped in my own mistake, because I thought it would make me feel better. I finally typed back, my hands shaking. I thought Jessica would explode with anger, but nothing could compare to the heartbreak on her face when we met again. She looked like a storm was brewing inside her. Anger, sadness, and betrayal, all mixed. Together, it felt like I'd torn our friendship apart with my own 2 hands. "Why would you do this to me?" she shouted, her voice shaking. Each word hit me like a punch. I could see the tears rolling down her cheeks, and it hurt more than I ever imagined it could. "You're supposed to be my friend," she cried. Those words pierced through me. I realized then how badly I'd messed up. I thought spilling her secrets would make me feel powerful, but instead, it drove us apart. Jessica wasn't just mad. She was crushed. The weight of what I'd done hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. I wanted to say I was hurt too, to explain myself, but the words just wouldn't come. I stood there, frozen, watching her world fall apart. I could see the trust slipping away from her eyes, replaced by disbelief and pain. Jessica's feelings were raw, and guilt crashed over me like a wave. I never wanted it to end like this. I thought I was standing up for myself, but I only made things worse. I felt a rush when I hit send on that post about Jessica. Finally, I had the power. I was tired of being called a liar. My heart raced as I imagined what would happen next. I was diving into the chaos I'd unleashed, and it felt thrilling. Jessica's secrets burst out like a flood. I watched her world fall apart, and for a second, I felt like a superhero. It was wild to see her face go red with humiliation. I wanted to shout, "Look at me, I'm not the liar here." But as the days passed, the thrill faded. Instead, a knot of worry twisted in my stomach. I knew I'd created a mess that couldn't be fixed. Did I really want to hurt my best friend? I thought. I felt like a monster, watching someone I once cared for suffer. The excitement that fueled me now felt heavy and wrong. I'd gone too far, and my victory turned into guilt. I thought about the friendship slipping away and the pain I was causing. Revenge felt good at first, but it left me feeling empty. I was left trying to piece together a friendship I'd destroyed, wondering if it was worth it. Why did I do this? I whispered to myself as I watched Jessica cry. As I sat on the steps with Jessica, the weight of what I did crashed over me like a giant wave. I thought I was being brave by standing up for myself, but instead I unleashed a storm of hurt. I felt the betrayal wrap around us like a thick fog, choking any chance we'd to mend things. Jessica's eyes filled with tears, and I felt like I'd kicked her in the gut. My post had turned her world upside down. I thought that sharing her secrets would make me feel powerful, but it only spread pain. I could hear whispers echoing through the school hallways, and shame crept in like a thief. I'd betrayed my best friend, the one I'd laughed and shared secrets with. The rush of revenge quickly vanished, leaving only guilt behind. Sitting there, I could see how my actions had crushed Jessica. She looked so broken, and a wave of regret washed over me. I wanted to take back every terrible word I'd typed, but I knew I couldn't undo the harm. Trust, which used to be strong and solid, was now a fragile thing, shattered by my choices. "Why did you do it?" Jessica whispered, her voice cracking. I didn't have an answer. I realized then that revenge doesn't heal, it just cuts deeper. We both deserved so much better than this mess. I'm sorry, I stammered, desperate to make things right. "I messed up, Jess. I'll do anything to fix this." Her silence felt like a punch to my heart. I knew I'd to face whatever came next. The road to healing wouldn't be easy, but I was determined to try. "Can we start over?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Jessica looked away, her pain echoing in the air between us. "I don't know if I can trust you again," she replied, the hurt clear in her eyes. The moment I saw the hurt in Jessica's eyes, it felt like a punch to my gut. I knew I'd messed up big time. She went from being the bubbly girl who laughed with friends to someone who shuffled through the halls, staring at the ground and avoiding everyone. The whispers and rumors were like daggers, leaving her feeling more alone than ever. "Why did you do this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. It stung. I'd betrayed her trust, and now she was trapped in her own world of pain. As days passed, I noticed changes in her. Instead of reaching out for help, she pulled away. Our friendship, once strong, was now a fragile thread hanging by a knot of hurt. I could see the cracks forming, and it broke my heart. "You're not the person I thought you were," she said one day, her eyes filled with tears. I could feel the weight of her words pressing down on me. I was the cause of her broken spirit, and I couldn't shake the guilt. I knew I'd to change. I needed to understand her pain, to feel it deep inside. She needed to find her confidence again and remember who she really was. I'd to show her that my betrayal didn't define her. "Hey, Jess," I said, my heart racing as I picked up the phone. "Can we talk?" Picking up the phone to call Jessica felt like jumping into a raging storm. I'd to face the choices I made and the chaos that followed. Sharing her secrets online seemed like a way to take back control, but I didn't think about how it would hurt her. I acted on anger and pressure from friends. I didn't see the big picture as I spilled Jessica's hidden life for everyone to see. As I thought about it later, I felt heavy with regret. I realized that I really hurt her and that things would never go back to the way they were. Jessica became a target, and I lost sight of our friendship. Instead of fixing things, I made everything worse. "Why did you do it?" Jessica asked, her voice shaking. "Did you even think about me?" I had no answer. I just stood there, feeling the weight of betrayal. Trust is hard to rebuild, especially after something like this. I knew I could have chosen a better path. I could have listened to her, offered my support, instead of rushing to judge her. Now I get it. Emotional growth comes from making tough choices. Friendship means sticking by each other no matter what. It's about solving problems without hurting one another. The air is thick as I gear up to message Jessica. My heart pounds with a mix of hope and dread. I messed up big time, and now I have to face what I did. No more pretending. I need to be real with her. I start typing, my fingers trembling. Every word matters. I want her to see how sorry I'm for hurting her, for spilling her secrets. I never meant to betray her. I just wanted to protect myself. As I hit send, a wave of panic hits me. Will she even want to read it? What if she ignores me? I picture her staring at the screen, my apology hanging in the air. I hope she knows I'm ready to hear her out, even if she's furious. Seconds turn into what feels like forever. I can't shake the fear of losing her for good, but I know I've to take this step. If she gives me a shot, I promise I'll work hard to fix things. Rebuilding our friendship will take time, but I'm willing to do it. She turned to me, her eyes sad. "I just wanted you to be honest," she said quietly. I felt so alone. My stomach dropped. I'd messed up, and it hurt her. In that moment, I knew I'd to fix this. It wouldn't be easy. Trust was broken, and it would take time to heal. But I was ready to fight for our friendship. I just hoped she wanted that too. "Please, just give me a chance," I said, my voice firm. She hesitated, looking away, like she was weighing a heavy decision. "I don't know if I can," she replied, biting her lip. I took a step closer. "I'll prove it to you. I won't let you down again." Her eyes flashed with doubt, but there was a flicker of hope. "How can I trust you?" "By watching me change. I'll show you I'm worth it." Silence hung between us, thick and tense. I could see her wrestling with her feelings, caught between what was safe and what she wanted. "Okay," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But if you hurt me again—" "I won't," I interrupted, my heart racing. "I promise." As I sat next to Jessica, her pain hit me like a punch. Her eyes were puffy and red, and I could see the hurt all over her face. I'd betrayed her trust and laid her secrets bare for everyone to see. My heart raced with anger and sorrow. Why had she hidden things from me? But deep down, I knew she was just a girl caught in a storm. "Why didn't you tell me about Mark?" I asked, my voice sharp. She looked away, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I thought you wouldn't understand," she whispered. I felt a twist in my gut. She was trapped under her mom's rules, and Mark was her only escape. I'd reacted out of my own hurt, but now I saw the bigger picture. "Jessica, I messed up," I said, my voice steady but filled with regret. "I shouldn't have exposed you." She shook her head, sadness washing over her. "You don't get it. I thought I could trust you." Each word pierced me deeper. In trying to protect myself, I'd only added to her suffering. I couldn't let this betrayal define our friendship. "I promise I'll do better," I said, determination rising in me. "We can fix this. I want to help you." She looked at me, uncertainty in her eyes. "Can we really?" "Yeah," I replied firmly. "We can rebuild. I want to understand what you're going through. The air was thick with tension, but I felt a spark of hope. I needed to show her that I cared, that I could be trusted again. She deserved that, and so did I. Okay, she said softly, a flicker of trust returning. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. My anger had completely blinded me to Jessica's struggles. I was so caught up in my need for revenge that I forgot who she really was. In my mind, she was a traitor, but deep down, I realized I'd messed up big time. I'd painted her as the bad guy when she was just a girl dealing with her own pain. Thinking back on our friendship, a heavy weight settled in my chest. Jessica wasn't just keeping her relationship with Mark a secret, she was fighting her own battles, trying to make sense of a world that felt like it was closing in on her. I'd exposed her secrets without understanding her struggles. Instead of being a friend, I'd become her enemy, driven by hurt and anger. The more I thought about it, the more embarrassed I felt. I acted on impulse, letting feelings of betrayal take over my mind. I wished I could rewind time, but I couldn't. The damage was done, and now I'd to deal with the fallout. Realizing my mistake wasn't just about feeling bad. It was about seeing how much I'd hurt her. I'd betrayed someone I cared about, and for what? To make a point? I knew I'd to fix this, but I'd no idea how. "Jessica!" I shouted, my heart racing as I ran to find her. "I need to talk to you." But, as I turned the corner, I spotted her with Mark, laughing and smiling. That familiar anger bubbled up inside me again, but I pushed it down. I'd to make things right. "Jessica," I called again, this time softer. She looked over, her smile fading. "Why are you here?" she asked, her voice guarded. I messed up. I'm sorry for what I said. Can we talk?" I pleaded, hoping she'd see the sincerity in my eyes. She hesitated, then nodded, her expression a mix of confusion and hurt. "Fine," she said quietly, walking toward me, "but you better mean it." I thought I could just forget about my guilt, but it stuck to me like glue, heavy and hard to shake off. I never imagined that spilling Jessica's secrets would leave me feeling so empty. At first, I felt a rush of power, but that thrill quickly vanished. Instead, I was left with a weight of guilt that wouldn't let go. Every time I saw Jessica's face, full of pain, my heart ached. I'd betrayed my best friend, and now I felt like I was sinking in quicksand. I couldn't ignore what I'd done. My actions hurt not just Jessica, but our whole group of friends. I saw people whispering and staring, and I wondered if I'd gone too far. I thought I was standing up for myself, but really, I was just stirring up trouble. Each day was a battle. I replayed our friendship in my head, wishing I could take back that moment when I chose revenge over kindness. I finally understood that true strength is about understanding and forgiving, not tearing someone down. I felt the weight of my choices, and it made me desperate to fix things. But could I? Could I make things right again? The path ahead looked scary, but I'd to try. I needed to lift this guilt off my shoulders and find peace. I owed it to Jessica and to myself. "Hey, Jessica," I called out one day, my heart racing. She turned, looking surprised. "What do you want?" she snapped, her eyes full of hurt. "I'm sorry," I blurted out. "I messed up. I shouldn't have told anyone your secrets." She looked at me, a mix of anger and sadness on her face. "You think saying sorry will fix everything?" "I don't know," I admitted. "But I want to try. I want to be your friend again." Jessica crossed her arms, still hurt. "It's not that easy. Trust is broken." "I know," I said, feeling the weight of my words. "But I'll do whatever it takes to earn it back. Please, give me a chance." For a moment, silence hung between us. I held my breath, hoping for a sign that she might forgive me. "I'll think about it," she finally said, her voice softening just a little. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, my phone buzzed. It was Chloe. "Jessica needs you," she texted. My heart dropped. I knew Jessica was already hurting, and now I felt a mix of panic and guilt. I ran to her house, my mind racing. What new trouble had come up? I remembered the trust issues between us, the heavy cloud that hung over our friendship. I knocked on the door, and when Jessica opened it, I saw pain in her eyes. She looked lost and broken. "Mark's gone," she whispered. My heart ached for her. She'd been through so much already, and I realized my own actions had only made things worse. My desire for revenge had cut deeper into her wounds. I sat beside her on the steps, listening as she poured out her heartbreak. Each word felt heavy. I wanted to comfort her, but I worried she'd push me away again. I knew I'd to stay. Trust was broken, but maybe this was the chance to start fixing things. I couldn't just leave her alone when she needed me most. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, my voice firm but gentle. "I didn't want to be a burden," she replied, tears streaming down her face. "You're not a burden. I'm here for you," I said, trying to be strong. Sitting next to Jessica on those steps, I could feel her heartbreak hanging heavy in the air. Tears streamed down her face like rain, and each drop hit my chest like a punch. I'd messed up big time. Our friendship was torn apart, and it was all because of me. Rumors buzzed around her, making everything worse, and I knew I was a big part of her pain. "Why did you do it?" Jessica choked out between sobs. I could see the hurt in her eyes, and it cut deep. I'd thought I'd feel powerful by sharing her secrets, but all I felt now was regret. I'd betrayed her trust, and I'd no idea how to fix it. "I thought it would make things better," I stammered, feeling small and ashamed. "I was wrong. I'm so sorry, Jess," but the words felt weak against the storm of emotions swirling around us. She shook her head. "You don't understand. They're judging me, and it's all your fault." Her voice was sharp, slicing through the air. I could see how deeply my actions had hurt her, and it made my heart ache. I'd only wanted to feel important, but instead, I'd pushed her farther away. "Let's work through this," I urged, desperate to reach her. "I want to help you heal." I knew I'd to prove I could be better, not just for her, but for myself too. Jessica looked up, her eyes a mix of anger and hope. "You think it's that easy? You broke my trust." She was right. Trust didn't just come back with a few apologies. It took time, effort, and a lot of honesty. "Let's start over," I said, my voice steady. "I'll do whatever it takes." She paused, studying me, and I could feel the tension between us. Maybe, just maybe, we could rebuild what was lost. But I knew it wouldn't be simple. I'd to show her I could change, and I'd to earn back her trust, piece by piece. "Okay," she whispered, her voice trembling. "But it's going to take time." I sat next to Jessica, feeling the weight of what I'd done. I'd really messed things up between us. "I'm sorry for everything," I said, my voice shaky. She looked at me, her eyes filled with hurt. I knew I'd to do more than just say sorry. I'd to show her I meant it. "Do you even care?" she snapped, her anger boiling over. I flinched. She'd every right to be mad. I'd betrayed her trust, and I couldn't just brush it off. We talked for hours. She opened up about Mark, and I listened. I realized I'd been quick to judge her. I'd never understood her struggles, and my heart sank with guilt. "I didn't know," I admitted, feeling the shame wash over me. But I wasn't going to give up. Not now. "I want to fix this," I said, determination creeping into my voice. She looked at me, still skeptical. "It will take time," she warned, crossing her arms. "I'll wait," I replied firmly. I knew rebuilding our friendship wouldn't be easy. It would take hard work, but I was ready to fight. I needed her to see I could be the friend she deserved. The road to forgiveness loomed ahead, and it felt like a steep mountain. I'd hurt Jessica deeply, and I knew I'd to face the damage I caused. I took a deep breath and decided it was time to say sorry, but I quickly learned that just saying the words wouldn't be enough. I needed to show Jessica that I understood her pain. As I thought back on everything, I realized how my anger had twisted my view. I'd let it drive a wedge between us. I wanted to understand why Jessica felt she'd to keep her relationship with Mark a secret. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about fixing what I'd broken. "Jessica," I called out as I approached her. She looked up, surprise dancing in her eyes, but I pushed on. "I'm really sorry for what I did. I shouldn't have spilled your secrets. I know I hurt you." She crossed her arms, her face hardening. "You think an apology is enough? You destroyed my trust." "I know," I said, my heart pounding. "But I want to make it right. I want to listen. Please, talk to me." She hesitated, her emotions swirling like a storm. "It's not that simple. You don't understand." "Then help me understand," I pleaded. "I want to be here for you, to fix this." A flicker of something, maybe hope, crossed her face. "Fine, but it's going to take time." I nodded, ready for the long road ahead. This journey wasn't just about saying I was sorry, it was about showing her I meant it. I'd to earn back her trust, and I was determined to try. As we talked, I felt myself growing. Forgiveness wasn't just a single moment, it was a tough climb. I realized that I'd to own up to my mistakes and work hard to rebuild our friendship. It wouldn't be easy, but I hoped that, in time, Jessica would find it in her heart to forgive me. "Let's take it one step at a time," I said, my resolve strong. "I'm here for you." And with that, we began our journey together, hoping to mend the pieces of our shattered trust. I knew fixing my friendship with Jessica wouldn't be easy, but I was determined. My heart raced as I sent her a text, hoping she'd give me a chance to explain. We'd to talk about what went wrong and why things felt so broken. When we finally met up, I made sure to speak clearly. "I messed up, Jess. I know I hurt you," I said, gripping my phone tightly. She looked at me, but her eyes were guarded. It felt like a wall was between us. I took a deep breath. "I felt betrayed too. I just wanted you to understand how sorry I am." My voice shook a little, but I pressed on. Jessica stayed quiet, her gaze still distant. I remembered that being open could help. "I really miss our friendship. Can we talk about what happened?" I asked, hoping she'd let me in. Slowly she nodded, and we started to share our feelings. It was hard, but I could feel the tension easing. Days turned into weeks as we tried to rebuild what we'd lost. I showed up for her, listening when she needed to vent and being there when she cried. Each time we met, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe we could fix this, but it wasn't just about saying sorry. We'd to create a new bond, one built on trust and understanding. I was ready to fight for that, ready to prove I could be a better friend. I just hoped Jessica would let me in before it was too late.